Have you ever sat at the family table, and instead of laughter, the air is heavy with tension? Maybe it starts with one sibling saying, "I'm doing all the caregiving," and another replying, "Well, I'm handling the money." Before long, voices rise, and the love that once brought you together feels buried under stress. These moments are far more common than families like to admit, especially when aging parents need care and financial decisions become real. Today, let's explore how to handle sibling conflicts over caregiving and money in a way that not only reduces arguments, but also strengthens family bonds. When siblings clash over caregiving or money, the arguments on the surface often sound practical. Who's paying for what? Who's driving mom to the doctor? Who's missing work to handle appointments? But beneath those words are feelings that rarely get named. One sibling may silently resent that they've put their career on hold. Another may quietly feel ashamed for living far away and not being able to do as much. Sometimes there's even a childhood echo, where the oldest feels they're always expected to be responsible, or the youngest feels like no one takes their effort seriously. When those emotions stay hidden, they come out sideways as sharp comments or cold silences, and suddenly the family table feels like a battlefield. Naming the unspoken is the first step toward easing that tension. It sounds simple, but it can feel risky. Imagine a sister saying, "I feel like no one sees how tired I am," instead of, "You never help me," or a brother admitting, "I feel guilty that I can't be here more often," instead of covering that guilt with financial gestures. These shifts change the conversation from accusations to confessions, from blame to vulnerability. And vulnerability, when met with empathy, creates space for understanding. One way to look at it is like turning on the lights in a dark room. When the lights are off, every shape looks like a threat. You bump into things, you assume the worst. But once the light is on, you can see clearly. A brother's gruffness may not be selfishness, but exhaustion. A sister's insistence on handling money may not be control, but a way of coping with fear. Families often avoid this kind of honesty because it feels messy, but the irony is that hiding feelings is what makes the mess bigger. Once people voice what's really happening inside, siblings can start to adjust in ways that feel meaningful. The caregiver who feels unseen may appreciate simple check-in calls from the sibling who lives far away. The one writing checks may feel relieved when their contribution is openly acknowledged as more than just money. What begins as conflict can slowly turn into cooperation when each person feels heard. It doesn't erase all the tension. Family dynamics are complicated, but it creates a softer ground to stand on. And sometimes, that small act of saying aloud what's been held inside can do more to heal relationships than any perfectly balanced caregiving plan ever could. When families talk about fairness in caregiving, the conversation almost always turns to money. Who's paying for medications? Who covers utilities? Who puts their name on the nursing home deposit? But what often gets lost is that time is also a form of currency. And for many siblings, it's the one they're spending the most. A brother who drives 2 hours every week to take dad to appointments may not be writing checks, but his hours on the road and in waiting rooms are a form of giving. A sister who stops by every evening to prepare meals may not transfer money to a joint account, but she's depositing her time and energy day after day. When we only measure contribution in dollars, it skews the picture and breeds resentment. The sibling managing the finances may feel like they're carrying the family's burden alone, while the hands-on caregiver quietly feels invisible. A healthier approach is to recognize both as valuable, even if they can't be compared on the same scale. Just like in an investment portfolio where you don't only count cash but also assets, caregiving is a blend of time, effort, and money. Each has worth, even if the value looks different. Some families find it helpful to picture a ledger of contributions, not as a strict accounting sheet, but as a tool for perspective. Imagine writing down not only expenses, but also the hours spent running errands, the days of work missed, the emotional energy poured into making sure a parent feels safe and loved. This simple act reframes the discussion. It reminds everyone that caregiving is more than numbers on paper. It's measured in minutes held, meals cooked, rides given, and bills paid. Looking at time as currency can also ease guilt. The sibling who can't be physically present might recognize that their financial support lightens the load. The one who isn't contributing money can remember that their daily presence has a value money cannot buy. Both are legitimate forms of giving. And when siblings start to appreciate these different currencies, conversations shift from, "I'm doing more than you," to, "We're contributing in different ways." Fairness, in this light, isn't about equal amounts. It's about respecting and valuing the kind of giving each sibling is able to offer. Once families start honoring time as a form of wealth, the tension softens, and caregiving becomes less about keeping score and more about working together. One of the biggest reasons sibling conflicts over caregiving and money get so heated is that each person only sees their side of the work. The one managing the bills thinks, "I'm keeping this whole ship afloat," while the one driving mom to appointments feels, "I'm the one sacrificing my life for her." Both may be right in their own way, but without perspective, empathy gets lost. That's why even a short rotation of roles can change the entire tone of the conversation. Picture this: the sibling who usually handles the finances spends a weekend doing hands-on care. Suddenly, they're the one making sure medication is taken on time, handling the frustration of a parent who doesn't want to eat, or trying to juggle errands while staying patient. It's no longer an abstract list of tasks their sibling complains about. It becomes real, lived experience. On the other side, the caregiver who's always in the trenches with daily routines sits down to sort through bank statements, insurance papers, or long calls with billing offices. They realize that while it doesn't involve physical exhaustion, it demands focus, time, and a different kind of stress. These brief swaps don't have to be permanent or perfectly balanced. They aren't about creating an exact trade, but about building empathy. Even a single day can shift how siblings view each other's roles. When the financial sibling feels how draining it is to comfort a parent at 2 a.m., they're less likely to dismiss those efforts as just helping out. When the caregiving sibling struggles with a stack of confusing paperwork, they gain appreciation for the unseen mental load. The real gift of rotating roles is that it softens judgment. Instead of saying, "You have it easier than me," siblings are more likely to say, "I didn't realize how hard that part is." That simple shift makes future conversations less adversarial and more collaborative. It becomes easier to compromise, easier to offer gratitude, and easier to see caregiving as a shared mission instead of a competition. Families often look for big solutions to conflicts, but sometimes the smallest, most human experiment, just stepping into each other's shoes, does the most to repair relationships. Rotation doesn't erase the imbalance completely, but it transforms the way siblings talk about it. And in caregiving, where emotions run high and patience runs thin, that change in perspective may be worth more than any perfectly drafted plan. When siblings reach an impasse over caregiving or money, conversations can start to sound like a loop. The same arguments get repeated, voices get sharper, and nothing moves forward. That's often the moment when a neutral voice in the room can make all the difference. It's not about choosing sides or proving who's right, but about breaking the cycle of family dynamics that go back decades. Sometimes what siblings need most isn't another round of debate, but an outside perspective that helps them hear each other differently. A neutral voice might come in the form of a professional, like a mediator, a family counselor, or a social worker who specializes in elder care. These people are trained to guide hard conversations, to make sure everyone is heard, and to keep discussions from spiraling into old resentments. But a neutral presence doesn't always have to be formal. It could be a trusted family friend, a clergy member, or even a cousin who isn't caught up in the daily tug of war. The power lies in having someone who is not emotionally tangled in the history of who was the favorite or who always got away with things. That distance allows them to listen differently and to reflect back what they hear without the sting of judgment. Imagine a heated conversation where one sibling insists they're carrying all the weight and another feels dismissed. Left alone, the argument escalates. But with a neutral party present, someone can pause the tension and say, "I hear that you're feeling unseen, and I hear that you're feeling overburdened. How can we bridge that gap?" Suddenly, the same points land softer because they're not framed as attacks. The presence of a neutral voice also sets a different tone. It signals that the goal isn't to win, but to find a path forward. Just knowing that someone is there to guide the process can lower defensiveness. People tend to listen more carefully when they feel the conversation has structure and fairness. In many families, there's hesitation to bring in outsiders. Some see it as unnecessary or even embarrassing. But the truth is, sometimes love alone isn't enough to navigate the practical and emotional complexity of caregiving. An impartial guide can act like a bridge, turning conversations that once tore siblings apart into ones that slowly rebuild trust. And when the goal is both caring for aging parents and protecting family relationships, that bridge may be one of the most valuable supports you can lean on. When families are in the thick of caregiving, the focus often narrows down to logistics. Who's picking up prescriptions? Who's covering next month's bill? Who's taking dad to the cardiologist? These tasks are important, but when the entire family conversation revolves only around them, the relationship between siblings starts to feel like a business meeting. The warmth that once connected everyone fades, replaced by calendars, spreadsheets, and problem solving. That's why deliberately revisiting family traditions matters so much. It's a reminder that you are more than co-managers of your parents' needs. You are brothers, sisters, children, and keepers of a shared story. Traditions don't have to be grand. They can be as simple as gathering for Sunday dinner, baking a favorite dessert from childhood, or sitting down together to look through old photo albums. These small rituals anchor the family in memory and identity. When siblings laugh over an old holiday photo or recall the quirky way mom used to decorate the house, they are reconnecting to the why behind all the caregiving efforts. It's not just about responsibility, it's about love and gratitude for the family history that shaped them. Taking time for traditions also helps soften conflict. When tensions are high, it's easy to see a sibling only as the one who never does enough, or the one who tries to control everything. But when you're side by side, stirring soup like you did when you were kids, or retelling a familiar family story, those hardened roles melt away. You start to see each other again as people who shared childhood bedrooms, chores, and memories. That shared humanity makes it harder to stay locked in resentment. There's also a healing power in giving parents a taste of these traditions while they're still here. A father who can no longer handle daily tasks may still light up when he hears the family singing an old song. A mother in need of constant care may smile when the family gathers for a holiday meal, even if it looks different than before. These moments give meaning to caregiving, reminding everyone that love and presence matter more than perfectly solved problems. Revisiting traditions doesn't erase the hard work of caregiving, but it brings balance. It reminds siblings that their bond is deeper than the current stress. And when families intentionally weave moments of memory and ritual into the caregiving journey, They create a space where joy can exist alongside responsibility, a space that strengthens them for the road ahead. Looking at family conflicts through what I call the legacy lens changes everything. When siblings argue about caregiving and money, it's usually about the here and now. Who's giving more? Who's being unfair? Who's not pulling their weight? But if you step back and ask, how will we remember this time years from now? The whole picture shifts. The focus moves from winning today's argument to shaping tomorrow's story. And that story will outlast any spreadsheet or schedule. Think about it. One day, when your parents are no longer here, what will remain? You won't remember every fight over medical bills, but you will remember whether you were able to pull together as a family or drift apart. The legacy lens asks you to pause and consider the imprint these years will leave. Do you want the memory to be that caregiving fractured the family, or that it brought out the best in you despite the challenges? Viewing caregiving this way helps siblings let go of perfection. Maybe one person is doing more physical care, while another is contributing financially. Maybe it doesn't balance neatly on paper. But the legacy lens asks, does each of us feel respected and included? Are we honoring our parents with the love and dignity they deserve? If the answer is yes, then the family is already building a legacy of compassion, even if the roles aren't perfectly equal. It also helps with forgiveness. Old family wounds often resurface under stress, decades-old rivalries, feelings of favoritism, unresolved grudges. Through the legacy lens, those grudges shrink in importance compared to the bigger picture. The goal becomes less about settling old scores and more about ensuring that, when you look back, you feel peace about how you handled this chapter. This perspective isn't just about the siblings, either. It's about the next generation watching from the sidelines. Adult children and even grandchildren see how their parents handle these moments, and it teaches them what family means. Choosing cooperation over conflict, even imperfectly, passes down a model of care and resilience. That, too, is part of legacy. When siblings keep that long view in mind, decisions start to feel less like battles and more like building blocks of memory. You realize that caregiving is temporary, but the way you treat each other will echo for decades. And in the end, that echo may matter far more than the arguments that seemed so urgent in the moment. Families often fall into the trap of believing everything has to be divided equally for it to be fair. Equal money, equal hours, equal tasks. On paper, it sounds neat and just. But in real family life, equality isn't always possible, and sometimes it isn't even what's healthiest. That's where the twist comes in. It's okay to agree to unequal, as long as it works for everyone involved and feels respectful. Imagine 3 siblings. One lives across the country, another lives nearby but works full-time, and the third is retired and lives just down the street from their aging parent. Expecting all 3 to contribute the same way sets the stage for frustration. The retired sibling may naturally take on more daily caregiving simply because they're available. The one living far away may contribute financially instead of physically. The one juggling a demanding job may only be able to offer limited time, but can still show support through regular calls and visits. It's not equal in effort, but it can be fair in intention if the family acknowledges and accepts it. Agreeing to unequal requires a shift in mindset. Instead of keeping score, the family looks at the situation with honesty. What does each person realistically have to give? Sometimes that means one sibling gives more time, while another gives more money, and another gives emotional support by checking in consistently. When everyone's contributions are named and valued, the imbalance doesn't feel like neglect. It feels like teamwork. This approach also reduces resentment. If the expectation is strict equality, someone will always feel shortchanged. But when siblings openly agree that different contributions are acceptable, the tension eases. The caregiver no longer feels silently angry that their time isn't recognized, and the financial supporter no longer feels guilty for not being physically present. Everyone knows their role and feels seen in it. What makes this twist powerful is that it frees families from unrealistic standards. Life isn't symmetrical, and pretending it should be only leads to conflict. By embracing unequal as sometimes the fairest path, siblings give each other permission to contribute in ways that match their strengths and circumstances. In the end, what matters most isn't that everything is split evenly, but that parents are cared for with dignity and that relationships between siblings survive with love intact. Choosing harmony over rigid balance may be the most generous legacy a family can create. Family caregiving and money decisions are never easy, but they don't have to leave scars. With empathy, perspective, and a focus on legacy, siblings can turn conflict into cooperation. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you faced sibling conflicts around caregiving or finances? What worked or didn't work for your family? Share your story in the comments, because your experience may be the insight another family truly needs. And if you found this video helpful, consider subscribing for more conversations on family, relationships, and retirement planning.